You may be seated. Good morning and welcome to Charter Day. Today we proudly celebrate the day this college was chartered to begin her mission. Several men cobbled their meager funds together and began meeting in the unplastered basement of the Warnersville Methodist Episcopal Church, now St. Matthew's United Methodist Church, for the purpose of educating men, women, boys, and girls in preparation for becoming community leaders. Today, as we celebrate Charter Day, there are bills in Congress that may impact our fiscal stability in a positive manner. I have been working with select members of Congress to ensure that Bennett is here into the future. We will know more about our success tomorrow as Congress prepares to vote on the bill. Let us stand now and sing, Lift Every Voice and Sing, and the Black National Anthem. After we sing, please remain standing for the invocation by our chaplain, Reverend Natalie McLean, followed by the scripture readings by Mrs. Alexandra Diggs, class of 2019, the Old Testament, and Ms. Xavier Edmonds, class of 2018, New Testament reading, and Ms. Sally Burrows, an administrative assistant in the Office of Financial Aid, who will lead us in the litany of gratitude, followed by the choir. Please stand.
Rejoice the mission and move this institution forward. This is our prayer of confidence in Christ. Amen. You may be seated.
Good morning. Isaiah 61, verses 1 through 3. The Spirit of the Lord God is upon me, because the Lord hath anointed me to preach good tidings unto the meek. He hath sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives, and the opening of the prison to them that are bound, to proclaim the acceptable year of the Lord, and the day of vengeance of our God, to comfort all that mourn, to appoint unto them that mourn in Zion, to give unto them beauty for ashes, the oil of joy for mourning, the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness, that they might be called trees of righteousness, the planting of the Lord, that he might be glorified. May the Lord add blessing to the reading of his word. Good morning. I will be reading Hebrews chapter 11, verses 1 through 6. Now faith is confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we do not see. This is what the ancients were commended for. By faith, we understand that the universe was formed at God's command, so that what is seen was not made out of what was visible. By faith,
Thank you, members of the choir. As we prepare for the greetings, I would like to ask all members of the Board of Trustees to stand and be recognized. All members of the Board of Trustees. Thank you. Also, thank you. Also, all alumni in the audience, please stand. We are glad that you are able to join us today. Please stand, all alumni. If we have any public officials and special guests in the audience, please stand and be recognized. In the public officials. The greetings, as printed in the program by members of the campus community, will be given in the order as printed in the program, starting with Miss Paige Matthews, SGA Class President.
To the Board of Trustees, President Dr. Dawkins, our beloved Bennett sister and speaker for this occasion, Ms. Sherman, faculty, staff, guests of the college, and my beautiful Bennett sisters, I bring you greetings on behalf of the Board of Trustees and the student body. Good morning. During my campaign, my platform, or what I consider my divine purpose, is centered around my impact on the world and the individuals I encounter daily. My influence sparking future generations to be bold, live boldly, and shake the status quo, and my inspiration to challenge individuals to be comfortable with being uncomfortable in leadership and within themselves. I am honored to be a member of the Board of Trustees, and it is my life that I have wholeheartedly dedicated in being the representative of this student body at Bennett College. The same fire for Bennett College that is within me was given from those who initially believed in Bennett College. In 1889, Bennett College was deemed a four-year college by the state of North Carolina. To simply say I am elated to be here in this moment, in this place, in reverence to this institution would be an understatement. Thank you to those who have set the standard for future members of Bennett College, whether it be selfless and dedicated members of the Board of Trustees, hardworking and nurturing members of our faculty and staff, loving and proactive alumni, the fearless and bold students that attend this institution, and the community that surrounds this institution with support. It is still work to be done. Occasions such as these should be the foundation for remembering the work that has been done and the work that has not yet been uncovered. As you go on about your day, throughout your lives, and change agents of this institution, I leave you with this. You are here to make a difference, to either improve the world or worsen it. And whether or not you consciously choose to, you will accomplish one or the other. Rochelle E. Goodrich. Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Kimberly Clark, and I am the lay leader at St. Matthew's United Methodist Church. I just want to bring greetings to you, and I am so happy to be here today. As you all know, Bennett College was begun in Warnersville Methodist Episcopal Church in our basement with 70 men and women that started as students there. And it's just an honor to look out and see all of you lovely bells today, and to know that the time has just gone and you've just continued to come to Bennett and you love Bennett. I didn't attend Bennett, I'm from New York City, but my mom was a Bennett belle, as were two of my aunts, and so I feel like I am a half belle. Because I have always attended Bennett functions, and I am actually, my best friend and I were roommates in college in Boston, and we met on the line in a bank before school started because our moms were Bennett belles together and recognized each other. And that created and we're just so proud to be daughters of bells. And at St. Matthew's, we have so many wonderful women that continue the tradition that are graduates of Bennett College, and I know that they wish they could be here today with me to celebrate you and to celebrate how long that Bennett has existed, what a powerful institution it is, and how much it's brought to so many women. So we honor you today. Thank you.
Good morning. First, our Heavenly Father, my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Good morning, Madam President, Board of Trustees, students, faculty, staff, alumni, parents, and guests of the college. I am Tony Gallimore, and I serve as the Staff Council President, and I bring greetings this morning on behalf of the staff and the faculty. As we celebrate the day that Bennett College became a four-year college, let us not forget that this parcel of land that we occupy was purchased by emancipated slaves. Now just because they were emancipated did not mean that everything fell in place and that there were no obstacles, especially in any time. It's no secret we face our share of challenges, but we must garner the strength of those before us and push on to the next level. Onward and upward is our resolve. God bless.
To the Board of Trustees, Madam President, Provost Brown, faculty and staff, Bennett students, platform speakers, friends, and guests of the college, good morning. I bring you greetings on behalf of the esteemed alumni of this life-changing institution. 1889, the inauguration of the Eiffel Tower, Vincent van Gogh's Starry Night, the first jukebox was played in San Francisco. All the while in a small southern city, a college was chartered. The life of a Bennett Belle has never been easy, but it pleases me to know that for many years there has been a place for all of that struggle. A place whose grass was greener on the other side, a place full of love, compassion, and pride. See, many are called, but few are chosen. Woven in the fabric of our hearts, she gave us a fresh start. Where tough love can be a path to greatness, leadership and service paths to take it. See, there isn't another place quite like this. Becoming a four-year institution not only opened doors for professional pursuits, it gave more time to unlock hearts, change mindsets, prepare young women for life's trials and truths. We know the value of what was paid for the crowns on our heads. We've marched, we've sung, we've slept on floors and not beds. We challenged, we soared, we lived, we learned. We fought against systems designed to push us out with no way to return. See, she waited for us and took us in regardless of where we come from. She showed us womanhood and excellence, gave us resources to help us commence and run. Run away, young woman. Make something of your life, she said. I'll be here when you need a reminder to make sure that you are always fed spiritually, mentally, physically, intellectually. She brought out the best in us. She brought out the best in me. So from sea to shining sea, we, the alumni of Bennett College, declare, thank you, dear old Bennett College. Loyally, thy colors there. Thank you.
Good morning. In greetings to President Dawkins, Provost Brown, Board of Trustees, alumni, staff, name is Ashley Robinson, and I am a freshman, social work major, entrepreneurship minor from Scottsdale, Plainfield, New Jersey. And I proudly serve as the freshman class president for this academic school year. On behalf of the freshman class of 2021, it is with the utmost delight that I welcome you to the 129th Charter Day celebration. In 1873, Bennett College started its humble beginnings in the basement of what is now known as St. Matthew's United Methodist Church. And in 1926, it became the only two of one all-female HBCU institutions that educate women. Can I get a Bennett Bells really well? Every student here has a different path that led them to Bennett College. I would tell my story, but that would take all day. So I'll just say that Bennett found me, but for these next 3 years, I plan to take full advantage of what she has to offer. When people ask me why I love my institution, I tell them it's because Bennett provides you with more than an education and a degree. It provides you with traditions, values, and morals that mold you into a young lady with a powerful mind. Not only will I gain an education, but I will become the best version of me. As the student body pushes through the rest of the semester, I do not doubt that we will end the semester successfully. And with the dedication of staff to keep Bennett College running and the relentless faculty who educate us. Remember, Bells, it is not enough to better yourself, we must better the world. The jewels we gain at Bennett are meant to be shared with the world. Happy Charter Day.
To President Dawkins, Board of Trustees, faculty, staff, alumni, guests of the college, and most especially, my beautiful and radiant Bennett sisters. Good morning. My name is Deja Allen. I am a sophomore biology major from Brentwood, New York, and I currently serve as a sophomore class vice president for the 2017-2018 academic year. On behalf of the sophomore class, I would like to express gratitude on this day, as 129 years ago, in 1889, Bennett College was chartered and recognized by the state of North Carolina as a four-year institution for higher learning. And not too long after, in 1926, it became the first historically black college for women. Since then, it has developed and nurtured students to pursue their true aspirations and opportunities by being the best that they could possibly be and exceeding the limitations stacked against women of color throughout various times in history. With individuals in my class, such as Jayla Barnes, our Miss Sophomore, who stepped up and took the reins of leadership when many were still deciding, Alexis Jones, a fellow biology belle who excelled her freshman year and achieved the opportunity to participate in the health equity program at Duke University last summer, Janelle Marshall, who is managing her own business as a makeup artist while being a full-time student, Janaya Shelton, who recently held her first art gallery that focused on mental health within college students, and so many countless others that I could not mention, but who have achieved various accomplishments within the last year. Thank you to the faculty, staff, and our sisters who have poured into us in order to do so. As a result, it is evident that with those mentioned previously, that the entire sophomore class has not remained the individuals we once were when we first walked on this campus. In fact, we are experiencing change within and are discovering our true purpose during our matriculation at Bennett. We are learning the importance of sisterhood. On this campus, what it means to be a sister to one another is deeper than just relating in different areas. We take strides together to live up to our truest potential and to become the women that this wonderful institution molds us into. Happy Charter Day. Thank you.
Vision without action is merely a dream. Action without vision just passes the time. Vision with action can change the world. Joel A. Barker. Good morning, President Dawkins, distinguished platform guests, faculty and staff, family and friends, and most importantly, the lovely Bennett does. On behalf of the junior class, I bring you greetings. My name is Ophelia Murray, a junior political science student from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I currently serve as a junior class president for the 2017-2018 academic school year. Today, we are here to celebrate the historical moment in 1889 when Bennett College was chartered as a four-year institution. When Bennett College elected its first African-American president, Reverend Charles N. Grandison, in 1888, it is safe to say that he had a vision for what Bennett could be. It is because of Grandison and those emancipated slaves that paved the way before him that Bennett College was successfully chartered as a four-year institution. At that time, there were less than 15 students attending the college. But by 1905, that number quickly rose to over 200. Something tells me that our founders knew the power of education, and that even if there was only one African American student being educated, it was still impactful and it could truly transform the world. His vision stood as a stepping stone for those who transformed Bennett into the first institution for African American women and a source of inspiration for the possibilities to come. Today, in 2018, we celebrate 129 years of this institution being chartered. It is because of those who came before us that we can maximize our potential and fulfill our destiny. Bennett College has not only changed the trajectory of my life, but many of my sister Belle's as well. I grew up in the inner city of Philadelphia, a place where in the same moment, my mother planned for my high school graduation. Some of my classmates, like DeAndre Bing's mother, planned for their child's school. To me, Bennett College is not just a regular institution. It's a space for refuge, cultivation, and complete transformation. I came to Bennett as a shy and sheltered girl, but with vision. Watching and learning from other educated, powerful, and extremely hardworking women professors like Ms. Penny Spees, Dr. Bookman, Dr. Campbell, and Dr. Collins Lucas, I quickly realized there was no need for me to be self-confident and that I too could be as brilliant as them. Now, I'm a leader, and like our founders, I know the importance of putting vision into action. I stand before you as the president of the junior class, vice president of the Inside Chapter, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Secretary General for this year's Model United Nations, and the Summer 2018 intern, Global Marketing Specialist intern for a multi-billion-dollar company, Nike. I say this not to boast, but because far too often people tend to overlook the potential of being a Bell, and this precious institution is often misjudged. In closing, I charge you with the task of allowing the two major keys, vision and action, which are responsible for 129 years of excellence, to be your guiding light. Thank you.
Thank you, choir, for that wonderful song. I also would like to thank all the people who brought the greetings today, from the trustee, the United Methodist Church representative, staff council, alumni, and class presidents. It is my pleasure to introduce to you the speaker. Our speaker today is Lori S. Sherman, who received her bachelor's degree in interdisciplinary studies in 2009 from Bennett College. After graduating from Bennett, Lori enrolled in Indiana University's Maurer School of Law in Bloomington, Indiana, where she was given a full scholarship. After graduating from law school, Lori started her career as an attorney at Old National Bank, a top Midwest regional bank where she was engaged in corporate compliance and community reinvestments. Following her time at the bank, Lori served as a staff attorney for the Indiana Department of Child Services, where she litigated cases related to child abuse and neglect. She also served as a part-time investigator for the Human Relations Commission. Lori was the first African-American attorney to work for Region 16 in Vanderburgh County, in a role which she helped countless children find stability. After working for 2 years at DCS, Lori ran for House Seat 77 in the State House of Representatives. On a shoestring budget, she came within 200 votes in her opponent. I wish we had been there to vote for her. Today, Lori practices personal injury law with Keitlinger and Gray Law Firm in Evansville, Indiana. Please join me in welcoming home and in giving a warm Bennett College welcome to Belle and attorney Lori S. Sherman.
I gotta be honest, I'm not used to wearing this. I feel a little restrained, so excuse me, if you don't mind, I'm gonna take it off. That song that they just sang, I'm Building Me a Home, it touched me. It wasn't part of my speech, but it's so important to build you a home right here. And when they were saying it, I almost caught myself choke up because I can remember times when I didn't know if I was gonna make it at Bennett, when I found myself building a home right here on these pews. So I'm so grateful for that song. It really uplifted me. And so thank you so much, choir. I also want to thank Bennett College for allowing me to come out here and share my story. I flew all the way from Evansville, Indiana, and I have a deposition waiting on me when I get back. And I have to thank my job, Keitlinger and Gray. It's not many law firms that support women of color and say, oh yeah, so they're asking you to come speak to young women about the importance of survival. Absolutely, you can go and we'll pick up your case. So I appreciate my job for doing that for me. And I also appreciate my Bennett sisters for always supporting me no matter what I was going through. They were always there, so thank you so much. And I see one of my classmates, Jasmine Faison. When I saw her, everything in me just lit up because Jasmine, if she don't mind me sharing her story, I can remember when we were freshmen. And being women, you know, sometimes we can get a little bit catty. But Jasmine doesn't have any sisters. So I remember her shaking us all up when she basically cried out and said, listen, I came here for sisterhood. If I don't get nothing else at this school, I need sisters. And at that moment, it meant so much and it brought us all together. So I remember that, Jasmine. So thank you so much. You probably don't think I remember it, but I remember it. Lastly, I don't want to say lastly because I better say thank you to my family who's watching my dog right now. Shout out to my brother. I appreciate you. I thank them so much. My siblings and I, my mom had 6 kids and she was a single parent. We have a group text message. And every morning I can expect at least 8 messages in the morning from pancakes and eggs to whatever anybody's doing, we're there for each other. So I thank my family for doing that and supporting me while I'm here. But lastly, I have to thank God, and most importantly, because he's been my everything. I thank him for seeing something in me that I often didn't even see in myself. So thank you, God, for all that you've done for me, and you're the reason why I'm here. So up until Monday, I had no idea that I was going to be speaking today. And while it probably came as a surprise to some of my former professors and probably to some of you, and especially to me, here I am. But what I appreciate about God is that oftentimes our plan B was always his plan A. So I appreciate him. So when I had my mind made up about how this week was going to go, I had my schedule lit out and everything, wrote out, and everything was copacetic. But when I got a phone call asking me to come speak to you all, I couldn't pass up the chance because I think it's important for you guys to hear my story. And as I was preparing to speak today, I thought about what I would say. I thought about how I would present. I thought about what do they need to hear from me. And then it dawned on me that it wasn't about me to begin with. And so then I began to seek within myself. I began asking God, what is it do they need? What do the women at Bennett need to hear? And what came to me was a song. It's a song that I hadn't heard for so long that I had to look it up on YouTube to make sure it was the song. I'm like, let me make sure this is what it is. And the song is very simple, and I'm not even gonna try to sing it because I don't have a voice to sing, I'm just gonna be honest. But it's, there's a lily in the valley. And some of you may have heard that song before, but it's real simple. It goes, there's a lily in the valley, bright as a morning star. Don't you know there's a lily in the valley, bright as a morning star? And as I was driving to work, it dawned on me. I feel like God brought me all the way from Indiana, Evansville, Indiana, to say, I believe that there is a lily in the valley, bright as a morning star, and I believe it's you women. And I think that there is something at Bennett that you have to get, because at some point you're going to enter back into society and you're going to find yourself in some valleys, and it's going to be important because people are going to be looking at you and they're going to expect you to shine bright as a morning star. So I think that's the key here. So I think it's necessary for me to talk about some of my valleys. Yeah, so you have in front of you my bio that talks about me being an attorney and everything, and it talks about, you know, all the things that I've done, what I ran for, working at a law firm, working at a top bank. But it doesn't tell you that when I was in middle school, my mom was sentenced to 26 years in prison. It doesn't tell you that at the same time, my brother, who is like a father to me, at the age of 17, he was tried as an adult and was also placed in prison. It doesn't tell you that when I was 16, I was in Omaha, Nebraska, which I had never lived before in my entire life, by myself with my sister, and I was emancipated, living on my own, paying bills like a grown-up. It does not tell you that when I came to Bennett in a cab, not an Uber, because those didn't exist back then. Cabs were way more expensive, and I didn't really have the money, but I knew it was necessary to get here. So when I got off the plane, that I worked so hard to pay for, because I knew I had to come to Bennett, because I knew that there had to be something more. When I stepped on campus, I remember seeing the older bells with these blue shirts. Oh, I better say, oh, Lord, I better stay up here. I was getting ready to get hyped. I was getting ready to start. But I remember the older bells with these blue shirts, and I don't know if they still wear them, the orientation leaders that had these big question marks on. And if you guys can just go back with me to 2005, there's these blue shirts, and the only thing that the shirt said was questions. And when I pulled up and I stepped out of the taxi cab driver had this look on his face like, this girl must be outside her mind. Here she is coming all the way down here, ain't even seen the college, don't know if it exists. But so I get out. I didn't, be honest, I ain't tip them because I ain't have money for that, but bless them anyhow. I got out, and I remember walking up to one of my sisters with this blue shirt on that said questions, but the look on her face was, who are you? So my Bennett sisters, rather than me asking questions, they began questioning me. Like, where's your parents at? I mean, did you really just come here in a cab? This is all you got? So you mean to tell me you're from Nebraska and you came here and So you never seen you didn't know and so as I began to answer their questions, I realized, after I answered their questions, I turned around and I asked them, where's the financial aid office? Do y'all think I'm gonna be able to stay here? You see, because I ain't going back. Do you think I can get to law school from here? Can y'all tell me about how they grade people? Do you think that I'll have a mentor? So I began questioning them, and I have to interject here because the same Bennett sister who had all those questions for me was the same one that said, Lori, it's necessary that you go back. She's the same one that called me all the way from Brazil on Skype to say, Lori, it's time for you to go back to Bennett and share with these young women where God has brought you from. In 5 seconds, she said, look, I'm running out of time. I gotta go. Things is getting rough out here. So, I didn't even have an opportunity to say no. So I thank God for my sorority sister for doing that. But when I got to Bennett, I knew why I was here. I knew I was gonna change the world. It was no questions, there ain't no ifs, ands, buts about it. Jasmine can tell you, I hit the ground running. Professors could tell you too. I was probably a thorn in their side because I was going to go to law school by any means necessary. And there was something that I had to get from Bennett. And I believe I got that. And when I got ready to graduate senior year, I applied to so many law schools and I got into just about every one of them. And I remember, glory to God, glory to God. Thank you, Lord. There was a librarian in Professor Mortimer in the library, and I used to go to him, and I remember when I went to go visit IU. It wasn't even on my radar. I knew I wasn't going to Bloomington. No way. But I remember him encouraging me to go. And I got to tell you this. When I went all the way to Indiana from North Carolina, I remember, matter of fact, I was working at the mall, Dillard's, selling shoes, had a lot of them. So, and I remember taking off. They was like, you're just gonna take off? Absolutely. I took off, I flew to Indiana, Bloomington, and when I got there, the dean of admissions, he said, you know, I've been waiting on a Bennett Bell to come through my door. Excuse me? He said, yeah, because I need to tell you something. He said, you know, my mama died when I was a child. He said, but you know, the woman that raised me was a Bennett Bell. He said, I've been waiting all these years. He said, and I'm going to retire pretty soon, but I am so glad to hear that there are Bennett Bells interested in this law school. I came back to Bennett and told Mr. Mortimer, he said, you going to IU? I said, no. He said, you're going, trust me. So when I got that letter that said, we want to offer you a full ride scholarship, I said, I'm going. I'm definitely going. Oh, yes, Lord, I'm going to Bloomington. And when I got to Bloomington, at the time when I applied, it was ranked, I think, 36. But when I got there, quite interesting, it went up to 20, 23 or something like that. So it was a top law school, full ride, glory be to God. But I didn't have my Bennett sisters with me. And I found myself in a valley. And I found myself questioning who I was. I found myself wondering, do I have what it takes to make it? And I could remember being down on my knees, crying, thinking, that's what I'm about to throw in the towel. I'm getting ready to wave a white flag because this is hard. This is not, I don't think this is what I signed up for because there weren't many people that looked like me. In fact, I'm gonna tell y'all something. In law school, there were 11 African Americans in my class of 200. Yeah. So I realized at that very moment that I ain't in Kansas no more, Toto. No. And so this is why I thank God for my Bennett sisters, because you see, I had to get on the phone and tell them that, guess what, y'all? You know how I pulled up and, you know, I said I was going to be this lawyer and everything, and I thought I was going to change the world, but I don't think I'm going to be able to make it. You see, I was in a valley. I was still a lily, but I wasn't shining. So it took my Bennett sisters to say, don't you remember pulling up in that cab? We do. Don't you remember why you went to Bennett? Do you remember what you did? Do you remember how hard do you remember who you are? Well, let me remind you. And so it was my Bennett sisters that pulled me up by my bootstraps because I'm going to tell you, I didn't have enough strength to make it. So I thank God for my Bennett sisters for being there for me. And these were the same Bennett sisters who were in Harvard studying to become a doctor. It was the same Bennett sisters that was in medical school. These weren't just any old Bell. These Bennett Bells do it well, period, point blank. So I thank God for my Bennett sisters. So I got my strength back, and I was shining a little bit, and I came on through law school. Yeah, and I passed the bar, and I decided that I had to get back to where I started from. I'm going home. I'm going home. I'm going in my community. I'm going where I never saw an African-American attorney. I'm going where I never saw an African-American doctor, and I'm gonna do what I set out to do. I'm gonna change my community, bottom line. And at the time when I returned to Evansville, there were 5 practicing attorneys in the city, including myself. And it's Evansville, I know some people probably got a vision of a farm. Nope. It is the 3rd largest city in Indiana. It has over 200,000 people, and there were only 5 African-American attorneys, including myself, practicing. That's an issue. And when I got there, I was faced with the reality that I did not have any job prospects. I didn't have anybody that was willing to take a chance on me. So I started working at a bank, something that I never ever wanted to do. I wasn't litigating like I thought I would be. It wasn't like what I thought it would be. I was confused. How is it that I'm one of 5 African Americans and there's no one to give me an opportunity? Not even the public defender's office, not even the prosecutor, not one firm wants to give me an opportunity. But that's okay. You don't want to know why? Because what I got from Bennett was hire yourself. So I hung a shingle like never before. I said, I will take, you need an attorney? Okay, you need it? Okay, come with me. So I lawyered myself down, okay? And my first case was a misdemeanor. Excuse me, I'm gonna drink a little water. Mouth dry. Yeah, so my first case was a misdemeanor. Not a big case, a traffic violation, nothing big. Ran a stop sign or something. So I walk into the courtroom. I got a trench coat to my ankles, looking like Sherlock Holmes, briefcase down. I smelled like a lawyer, you hear me? I walked in that courtroom with so much pride, with my head held back, ready to go in and take care of this misdemeanor. And as I approached the front, I heard somebody say, "Get back behind the line." So I turned around like, who's in violation? Oh, wait, you talking to me? Oh, well, Your Honor, I'm an attorney, and I'm here on behalf of my client, and you could have bought everybody for a penny. All you heard was, because they never seen anything like that before. They never seen an African-American female attorney at my age walk in like that. And you see, what I'm trying to tell you is that that very moment, I was a lily in somebody's valley, shining bright like a morning star. This was something that these young people had never seen before. They were used to me, even though I had a trench coat down to my ankles, briefcase and all, leather. I still was considered a convict. I still was considered a criminal. Even to this day, sometimes I walk into the courtroom, walk into judges' chambers, and they say, "Well, ma'am, you're going to have to sit outside because you see the judge doesn't meet with the defendants." Well, and you know what? Here's how you kill them with kindness. You say, "Well, does he meet with the attorneys?" "Oh, yeah. Well, then he'll meet with me." "Oh, are you an attorney?" "Oh, well, you're just so young." Right. Right. But I thank God for places like Bennett, because if it wasn't for Bennett, I would never have been there. And you see, I gotta say this. The same judge who I respect very highly, the same judge that sentenced my mama for 26 years, I sit at the table with him, and we eat lunch, and we talk. You see what I'm saying? It's funny how sometimes your plan B turns out to be God's plan A. So I thank God for that. So, after I proved myself in the courtroom and demonstrated that I know how to make a proper objection, you know, there came a time where there was an offer extended to me to work for the Department of Child Services, and it was an opportunity of a lifetime. And though I wasn't making that much money, it was an opportunity to help those kids where I once was. It was an opportunity for me to share my story, to say, you know, I understand where y'all think that these kids are dealing with behavioral issues, but perhaps these behavioral issues you're misinterpreting. See, they're going through grief right now. Their parents has just been sent to prison. Understand that their anger, this chip on their shoulder that you mistaken this ADHD, this lash out, these fist is flying, that is grief. That is grief. These kids are raising themselves. And I had an opportunity as the attorney in a position of respect to say, hold on, Your Honor, if I may, for just 1 second, speak up. That's grace. That's God. That is being a lily in somebody, a child's valley, that's shining to say, hold on, y'all, hold on. Your Honor, before we throw him away, if I may just really quickly just interject here and say, is there any possibility that we can give him another chance? Your Honor, before we throw this parent in jail, is there any way that we can just one good time, give them another chance? Is there any way, as opposed to throwing them in jail, could we offer them drug court, Your Honor? That was my way of being a lily in somebody's valley, shining bright as a morning star. But as I continued to practice at DCS, my heart continued to break. And I realized that perhaps it's time for me to change some policies. Perhaps it's time for me to speak up. Perhaps it's time for me to run for office. Yeah, that's what I'll do. In my late 20s, I decided that I was going to run for office. That's something they instill in you too at Bennett. Bennett bells are voting bells. I didn't even have to finish it. Y'all probably would have shouted it out for me. Bennett bells or voting bells? So I decided that I was going to leave the Department of Child Services and I was going to run for office. And when I told a couple people, I was like, yeah, I'm going to run for state representative and, but this is blah, 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 what I'm going to do. You're going to do what? You're not qualified to do that. I was like, oh, time out. I'm an attorney. Same as my opponent. I don't see why I fit the qualifications. I mean, I don't understand that. And I can, kid you not, I remember someone calling me on my cell phone, someone I had never met before, and to this day, I probably can't even give you his real name. But he said, I hear the clerk's position is opening. Would you consider being a recorder? Trying to silence me. And at that moment, I thought, I'm going down in a big way. I'm feeling the pressure. There was no one to support me. So what do y'all think I did? You probably already know it. I called my Bennett sisters like never before. You hear me? I called my Bennett sisters, and I had people running my campaign from Pennsylvania, Georgia, California, and it was so interesting. I had no money. And my sorority sister, she literally started a t-shirt campaign. She was selling t-shirts that had my logo on it in Washington, D.C., California, Chicago, people buying t-shirts, and that is what I used to run my campaign. She planned a whole block party for me. You're in Georgia. She had everything planned out. I had a sorority sister that had my whole campaign mapped out. That is what you call Bennett Bells doing it well. The people who were against me had no idea what was going on. They had no idea. So when I came out swinging, when I tell you, people to this day ask, you gonna run again? You gonna run again? You gonna run again? On the night of the election, I was ahead. And I'm sure it's online, you can look at it. I was ahead the whole time, but then all of a sudden, some machines broke down. And I wasn't tripping because I was doing this for God. I said, you know what, it's not so much about winning because I've already won. And that night, I went to bed not knowing if I had won or not. And I looked in my Facebook inbox, and I had a message from a middle schooler from Washington Middle School, and she said, I've been praying all night, and I'm praying that you win because you make me feel like I can make it. And I had to tell her, win, lose, or draw, I've already won. And I had to encourage her to let her know that, guess what, it's all right. But again, y'all, and I hate to keep going back to this, but now I realize why that song kept resonating with me. At that moment, I was her lily in her valley, and I was shining. And now, let me tell you something. There's somebody running this year for trustees, and it may be a small position, but it's an African-American woman. And I thank God for just being able to put my footprint in Evansville, Indiana, and for people to be able to look at me. That is what I got from Bennett, to let me know that I am more than a conqueror. I can do all things. So I'll leave you with this. I was reading my Bible and I came across the story of Elijah. And it resonated with me. Why? Because Elijah was a prophet at a time when it wasn't popular. You see, there was not many people like him. In fact, he found that he was about the last one left because everyone else had died off. or been killed. But Elijah had a great defeat. He had pretty much burned up all of Baal's prophets, the people that were against him. Yeah, and there was the government, what have you, that said, by this time tomorrow, Elijah, you're gonna be dead. And Elijah found himself, and I believe this, he found himself in a valley. And then he began searching for God's presence. So he went up to Beersheba, and he told the person that was with him to stay. Sometimes God will remove people that are connected to you because he has to get you alone. And I feel like when I came to Bennett, he had to get me by myself so that he can minister to me. But you see, Elijah was at a point where I was when I went to law school. He said, enough is enough. Just end it all here. I'm done. Even though he had had so many great accomplishments, he had defeated so many different things, he was at a point where he wanted to die. And God asked him a question, which is the same question I'm gonna ask y'all. Why are you here? What is your purpose? And your plan B, maybe God's plan A. So I would advise you, as an attorney, to look to your left, look to your right, whatever, and draw from your sisters like never before. I mean, shine so bright as much as you can be. Get everything you can get from these professors, because I can guarantee you this, when you hit them doors, when you get up out of Bennett, this will probably be the last time you will ever be the majority in this country. So why you, fresh women, hear me, trust me. Find out, if you don't already know, find out why you're here, and don't keep it a secret. Tell your Bennett sisters, so that when you find yourself in your valley, they will remind you of who you are.
Attorney Sherman, thank you so much for that wonderful and very insightful speech. Bells, I hope that you were listening. Just remember, in 2009, she was a student here as well. So be prepared for the struggle ahead, but be prepared. Stay educated, get all that you can while you are here at Bennett College. So let's give her another round of applause. And now, please stand for the singing of the alma mater, followed by the benediction.
say thank you enough. So we appreciate this opportunity to hear of your goodness in the life of your daughter. Help us to be inspired, to tell our vision to someone else that we might be encouraged. We also thank you, Lord, for this glorious day of celebration and memory. Your presence bears witness to this truth. For eye has not seen, nor has ear heard, nor has it even entered into the hearts and the minds of us what you will do for us as we trust you. So God, we